Hello and welcome. Today, we are talking about the customs of love. All those invisible rules and unspoken agreements, the traditions that secretly guide how we meet, how we flirt, and how we commit to one another.
And it's a really fascinating paradox, isn't it? I mean, these customs can feel kind of superficial, but breaking them, that feels like a huge deal. You don't shake someone's hand or you ignore a smile, and suddenly you've completely violated some unspoken social contract. So why do these unwritten scripts have such a powerful grip on our most intimate moments?
All right, let's get into it. First, we're going to unpack the power of custom itself. Then, we'll follow that idea through how we actually meet people, the subtle dance of flirting, the whole journey from courtship to marriage. And finally, we'll take a look at some of the absolute weirdest and most wonderful love customs from all over the world.
So, first things first. Let's build our foundation here. What exactly is a custom, and why does it have so much power over us? You can really think of custom as a social shortcut. It's basically a set of behaviors that we've all kind of agreed on, and it saves us from having to figure everything out from scratch every single time. It's like a script. We know to say, "How are you?" We know to shake a hand. It just takes this overwhelmingly complex world and makes it a little more manageable.
But here's the thing. Not all customs are created equal. Sociologists often split them into two big categories, mores and folkways. Now, they might sound similar, but believe me, the difference between them is absolutely crucial.
And this quote from way back in 1906 just nails it. Mori is about fundamental morality. We're talking the big right versus wrong stuff. Folkways, on the other hand, are all about social grace. They're the line between what's considered right and rude. If you break one, society judges you. If you break the other, you just seem kind of impolite. Okay, so with that distinction in mind, let's see how these customs actually play out in the real world. And we'll start with the very first step of any relationship, how we meet. So, historically, meeting a potential partner was a really structured affair. You met through family connections, often to create alliances between families, or you met at these officially sanctioned events like dances and balls, all under the very watchful eye of a chaperone. And of course, the workplace has always been a pretty common place for romance to start. Well, today, things have changed dramatically. Just look at this data from the Pew Research Center. The share of 18 to 24-year-olds using online dating has almost tripled in just a few years. And get this, it's even doubled for people between 55 and 64. This is a massive cultural shift we're looking at. But here's the twist. Despite that explosion of dating apps, a staggering 88% of people in relationships today say they still met their current partner offline. So, for all the tech we have at our fingertips, the old ways of meeting in the real world are, believe it or not, still king. Okay, so you've met. What comes next? Well, that would be the complex, mostly nonverbal dance of flirting, a world that is governed almost entirely by custom. It really all begins with the glance. It's the opening move, that first signal that can say absolutely everything without a single word being spoken. It's so subtle, but it's incredibly powerful. And you can leave it to someone like Victor Hugo to capture the sheer drama of it all. He describes it like a machine that just grabs you, pulls you in, and changes everything. I mean, that's the kind of power that's packed into a single, fleeting look. Now, believe it or not, scientists have actually studied this silent language. Anthropologist Helen Fisher observed that women across many different cultures often follow a very specific sequence. It starts with a smile and this wide-eyed gaze, but then it's followed by dropping the eyes and tilting the head. It's this classic little dance of approach and retreat, and it all happens in just a matter of seconds. So what about men? Well, one study found that the guys who successfully initiated contact, and they defined that as at least 1 minute of conversation, showed some really specific behaviors. They directed more brief glances, they did these space maximization movements, like stretching out their arms, and they even playfully touched or shoved their male friends, which is likely a very subtle way of signaling their status. All right, so from flirting, let's zoom out and move to the much longer customs of courtship and the institution that has really defined love for centuries, marriage. It seems like such a simple question, right? But the answer has changed so dramatically over time. I mean, the whole purpose of marriage today is wildly different from what it was for most of human history. Author E.J. Graff gives us this fantastic framework for understanding the shift.
For centuries, marriage has really been about 6 key things: money, having legitimate sex, producing heirs, forming kinship alliances, creating social order, and, only very recently, has it been about the heart.
And this right here really gets to the heart of the change. Marriage used to be a super pragmatic thing for survival and for power, a way for the elite to hoard resources or merge political dynasties, think Game of Thrones. But today, our ideal of marriage is based almost entirely on love, personal choice, and emotional fulfillment.
And George Bernard Shaw just perfectly captured the absurdity of this modern ideal. He's saying we take this fleeting, insane passion and we demand that people swear to maintain it forever. It's a really beautiful idea for sure, but it's also an incredibly high bar to set.
Okay, let's have some fun with this. We've seen how customs shape our own love lives, but trust me, things can get a lot stranger when we start looking around the world.
So in Scotland, there's this tradition called blackening the bride, where she's literally covered in eggs, fish, and worse, supposedly to prepare her for any marital hardship. In France, newlyweds sometimes drink wedding leftovers from a replica toilet bowl for good luck. Finland has an annual wife-carrying championship. And in parts of China, a groom has to bribe and outsmart the bridesmaids just to get to his bride. These customs seem totally bizarre to us, but they're a perfect illustration of how arbitrary and yet how deeply meaningful these rituals can be.
This short poem just beautifully captures a really complex relationship with custom. We live with it, we find comfort in it, it gives us a safe structure. But there's also a part of us that longs for the storm, right? The part that wants to look beyond the script and ask, where are we all really going with this?
And that leaves us with one final, provocative thought. If all these rules, from who asks whom out to what marriage even means, are really just scripts that we've all collectively written and agreed to follow, then what's stopping us from writing a new one? What does the next custom of love look like?